Hello, and thanks for stopping by to learn a little bit more about PowerSafe Consulting. Our overall mission is to take our expertise on the various electrical standards and help organizations establish and implement electrical safety programs that are compliance with the various elements of the what is now described as the NFPA cycle of safety. This includes the documentation, of course, of the National Electric Code, NFPA Article 70, electrical safety in the workplace, NFPA 70E, and the standard for electrical equipment maintenance, NFPA 70B. The NFPA offers a variety of instructor-led courses across many of their standards. PowerSafe Consulting is an authorized education network provider of the NFPA and can bring these various courses along with a NFPA approved instructor to your facility for executing a training event. I am Chuck Fox. I am the owner of PowerSafe Consulting, and I am an approved instructor on the NFPA 70E and 70B standard. This means for those two particular coursework, we can be a one-stop shop to be able to set up a training event. I've also held the Certified Electrical Safety Compliance Professional certification from the NFPA since 2014. I also can provide a more detailed resume on my background upon request. Looking at the various programs offered by PowerSafe Consulting, our first offering is for the NFPA 70E two-day workshop. This particular workshop is developed directly by the NFPA, and it is all of their developed content. My role as an NFPA approved instructor will be to teach and train this very specific NFPA developed concepts. Within the workshop, there really is no other direct discussion on compliance solutions or services offering by any providers, but occasionally those may be mentioned as examples of how compliance is achieved or met. Recently, the NFPA has also reduced the total scope of their two-day workshop on the 70E standard to a one-day offering with really the same type of parameters. The content itself is again developed by the NFPA within their particular outline and instruction, and my role as a NFPA approved instructor is to teach and train that particular content, again to work with individuals who seek to develop, understand, and then develop the implementation of these particular compliance requirements within their facility. NFPA also offers a one-day workshop on the 70B standard for electrical equipment maintenance. One of the areas that I'm interested in exploring is to work with organizations in the concept of a two-day training program that would include a one-day workshop on the 70E standard, followed by a one-day workshop on the 70B standard. Again, with both of these standards, the content of the overall training program is developed and maintained by the NFPA, and my role as an NFPA instructor is to teach and train the very specific elements within their training program content, and generally we stay away from any type of discussions of what vendors or solutions can be provided and focus simply on the requirements. The next level of training offered by PowerSafe Consulting may be described as standards interpretive training. The course content for these training programs is developed by PowerSafe Consulting and typically will cross over between the standards as we look to fully develop particular topics or implementation strategies in order to be compliant with various aspects of the electrical cycle of safety. This type of standard interpretive training can be developed into a workshop of varying lengths, typically between 2 to 8 hours of total content. And again, the specific emphasis, the focus, and total time is really a decision made as the entire training concept or training program is thought of and put in place. An example of this is a recent presentation that's titled 6 Steps to Electrical Compliance Across the NFPA Electrical Cycle of Safety.
Six steps was actually outlined in an article that was published in Electrical Construction Maintenance Magazine in the May of 2025 issue, and would be a great example of this type of interpretive training crossing both 70E, 70B, and of course Article 70 requirements as well. Again, the audience for this type of training may be particular individuals with an emphasis on trying to develop their own internal elements of both electrical safety and electrical maintenance programs tied specifically to their software infrastructure. Or it may be a program that's offered to a trade association or by a sponsoring electrical contractor seeking to create additional credibility and awareness for their services under electrical predictive maintenance practices. This particular graphic goes along with our discussion of the 6 Steps article and provides a baseline of the various elements for the overall presentation within this seminar. So these particular elements and the graphic was developed by PowerSafe Consulting. And again, this is an example of interpretive training. Another level of interpretive training is the various electrical safety training provided to qualified individuals. It is a facility's responsibility to assure that those who come in contact with energized electrical components are considered qualified. And so both electricians and building technicians, maintenance technicians, all may carry this requirement of qualified individual training as developed and structured primarily under 70E Article 110.4. PowerSafe Consulting offers the following courses to meet the requirements of development and training for qualified individuals. Our coursework offerings are as follows. Our first foundation course is Understanding Electrical Hazards and Safe Work Practices. So here in this 3.5 to 4 hour classroom session, the participants will learn about the hazards of an arc flash event, as well as shock and electrocution, and then also go through the various elements of the safe work practices as outlined within NFPA 70E and the various aspects of understanding arc flash labels and providing shock protection, job safety analysis, and various other concepts within the 70E standard to develop this overall profile of safe work practices. Once that foundation is in place, a second course is then available, and the second course is titled Qualified Individual Hands-On. This course is primarily a classroom session between 90 minutes to 2 hours, and it is listed as a review or transition, where we're going to take the various concepts as presented within the Foundations Electrical Hazards and Safe Work Practices course, do a review of them, but with the mindset that the participant will soon need to be in front of the electrical components themselves and provide a hands-on, the operative words we use as demonstrated proficiency of their understanding of the safe work practices. The next level of training is titled Qualified Individual Retraining, and under Article 110.4, when we speak of retraining requirements, it doesn't necessarily specify that an individual who's already received these previous 6 hours of training needs to repeat the full level of that training. So a suggested approach to that could be to simply re-execute the review session of the qualified individual's hands-on, and indeed have each one of those participants again review in a hands-on real-time format their demonstrated proficiency of the various work practices. The last course, titled Unqualified Individual, or better described as Electrical Safety Basic Training, is intended for production workers and other workers who are not going to be considered qualified individuals. And yet under Article 110.4, these individuals should receive some level of electrical safety training needed for their own personal safety. In this particular course offering, PowerSafe Consulting offers a train-the-trainer model. We provide the content and the background and the support of the various course curriculum, but the actual trainer and presenter of this typically is an employee of the organization and can literally administer these training sessions with the frequency that's appropriate for the onboarding programs, depending upon the velocity of hires, etc. The last area of services may be broadly described as safety program implementation. Here, PowerSafe Consulting will facilitate a understanding and training of the standards with a particular focus to assess how those standards might apply to existing practices and existing documentation processes and requirements within the facility, understand a level of gap analysis, and provide suggestions and coaching to ultimately improve the implementation and enhance the compliance requirements and overall assessment that we are indeed in compliance. For electrical contractors, this may ultimately include a understanding of the various services that are offered and put in place today and what might be improved in order to create a stronger, more compliant offering as services delivered to your customers, enhancing your overall electrical maintenance practice. So if any of this discussion today prompts you to say, tell me more about those particular services, I certainly would welcome the opportunity to participate in an online meeting or a phone call. Please reach out to me and we certainly can talk shop about safety and compliance and the practices to keep all of your employees safe, or as well as to improve the electrical maintenance practice offerings for the contractor. Thank you.